Today we're stepping into a painting that has baffled, mesmerized, and inspired viewers for centuries. A painting often called one of the greatest ever made, Diego Velázquez's Las Meninas. Hanging in the Prado Museum in Madrid, Las Meninas, or the Maids of Honor, painted in 1656, is no ordinary group portrait. It's a complex, monumental work that seems to defy the very rules of painting, inviting us, the viewers, into a space filled with light, life, and profound mystery. At first glance, we see a scene in a large room in the Royal Alcazar of Madrid. In the center, the radiant young Infanta Margarita Teresa is attended by her entourage. Her maids of honor, or meninas, two dwarfs, a large dog, and other court figures. To the left stands Velázquez himself, palette and brush in hand, looking outwards, seemingly at us. In the background, figures talk, and in a doorway, a man stands silhouetted against the light. It's a snapshot, yes, but a deeply intriguing one. Why is the Infanta there? Why is Velázquez painting this scene? And most importantly for our discussion today, who are we, the people standing here, looking at this painting? Who is Velázquez looking at? Who is the Infanta looking at? There's a small but crucial detail on the back wall, a framed reflection in what appears to be a mirror. In this reflection, we see the blurred figures of the King and Queen of Spain, Philip IV and Mariana of Austria. Now let's pause here for a moment, because King Philip IV wasn't just any monarch. He was a major patron of the arts, and this guy just loved to sit and get his likeness painted. You might as well call him the first Instagrammer. Seriously, he sat for Velázquez at least 34 times. And that's not even counting all the other portraits of himself he had removed before Velázquez became his favorite master painter. So it's no surprise that in Las Meninas, Philip manages to appear even when he's not directly shown, reflected in the mirror like a royal cameo from someone who always found his light. Now, the standard interpretation is that this reflection shows the king and queen who are standing just outside the painting's frame, in the position where we the viewers are standing. Velázquez is painting them, and the scene we see is happening in the foreground while they pose for their portrait. The mirror then reflects their image from where they stand. But here, at Le Café des Arts, we want to delve deeper into this idea and argue why we firmly believe the viewer is indeed the king and queen, reflected in an actual mirror, not merely a painting of a reflection. And key evidence for this lies in a technique Velázquez used in another famous painting, the Rokeby Venus. The Rokeby Venus, housed in the National Gallery in London, is Velázquez's only surviving female nude. Painted sometime between 1647 and 1651, it depicts the goddess Venus reclining on a couch, her back to us, while her son, Cupid, holds up a mirror in which her face is reflected. Now, as art historians have noted, there are two particularly intriguing aspects to this mirror. Firstly, Venus isn't looking at herself in the way we might expect. Her eyes in the mirror seem directed outwards, towards the painter, and towards us, the viewer. This plays with perspective in a fascinating way. But secondly, and perhaps more significantly for our theory about Las Meninas, Venus's reflection in the mirror is blurred. As one description puts it, Venus's reflection in the mirror is blurred. We can see that it is a woman's face, but it would be hard to recognize her if we would run into her. It allows us to imagine her like we want. This blurring wasn't an accident. Velázquez was a master of realistic depiction. He could paint a crisp, detailed face, as is evident in his many portraits, including the Infanta and others in Las Meninas. Yet, in the Rokeby Venus, he deliberately chose to leave Venus's reflection ambiguous, indistinct. Why? Perhaps to allow the viewer to project their own ideal of beauty onto her face. Perhaps to emphasize that what we're seeing is a reflection, fleeting and less solid than the body itself. We believe Velázquez employed this exact same technique for the reflection of the king and queen in Las Meninas. The blurring isn't because the mirror is fake or the figures are ghosts. It's because Velázquez is showing us a realistic reflection. Realistic, that is, within the artistic conventions he was exploring, of figures standing at a distance, in a mirror positioned high on the wall. This deliberate artistic choice strongly supports the theory that the king and queen are physically present in the room, standing precisely where we are, being painted by Velázquez. The mirror is an actual mirror on the wall, reflecting the most important figures in the room, the monarchs, who occupy the viewer's space. Other elements in the painting further solidify this idea. Look at the Infanta Margarita. Her head is slightly tilted, her gaze directed outwards, towards the viewer, towards the space where the king and queen would logically be standing for a portrait session. She isn't looking at Velázquez or at the mirror directly, but straight at her parents. Consider also the figure in the doorway in the background, Don José Nieto Velázquez, the Queen's Chamberlain. He's paused, one hand on the curtain, silhouetted against the light of the staircase. His posture suggests he is either entering or, more likely in our interpretation, waiting. Waiting to escort the king and queen when their sitting is finished and they depart the room. He is positioned to serve the figures who are standing where we, the audience, are. So, why is Las Meninas considered one of the greatest paintings in the world? It's precisely because of this groundbreaking composition and the intellectual game it plays with the viewer. By placing the king and queen in the mirror, occupying our space, Velázquez collapses the distance between the painting and reality. He turns us, the viewers, into the subjects, or at least into standing in the exact spot of the most important subjects. He creates a dialogue between the painted world and the real world. The figures in the painting are aware of the presence of the king and queen, us. Velázquez acknowledges their presence by painting them and by looking at them. The painting becomes not just a representation of reality, but an active engagement with reality, specifically the reality of the courtly setting and the presence of the monarchs. Furthermore, it's a profound statement about the nature of art itself. Is the painting about the artist painting? Is it about the Infanta and her maids? Is it about the power of the monarchy, whose reflection dominates the space? Velázquez masterfully weaves together these layers, using technique, like the deliberate blurring seen also in Rokeby Venus, to enhance the illusion and the philosophical depth of the work. Las Meninas is a painting about seeing, about being seen, and about the complex relationship between the artist, the subject, and the viewer. By demonstrating the deliberate blurring technique in Rokeby Venus, we gain insight into Velázquez's artistic intent in Las Meninas, reinforcing the idea that the reflection is a mirror, the figures are real, and the viewer occupies the throne. It's a painting that never ceases to ask questions, to challenge our perceptions, and to remind us of the sheer genius of Velázquez. Well, that's all for this week on Le Café des Arts. Please join us next time when we explore another masterpiece that continues to inspire and intrigue. Until then, au revoir.